Hello, and welcome back to the Gettin Creative podcast in collaboration with the National Youth Theatre with me, your host, Shakira Newton. Gettin Creative is a podcast where I'll chat to folk from all creative industries, finding out where they got started, where they've been, where they're going, and getting some advice on how you can get started on that journey too. Now, I first saw today's guest's magic when I went to see their sold-out, heart-wrenching and eye-opening show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2019. And I've been following their work ever since. An actor turned writer who also runs a theatre company dedicated to telling stories about the lives of Black people in a thought-provoking and poetic way. Please join me in welcoming Ryan Calais Cameron to the podcast. Hey, Ryan.
It was good.
Nice. I always get a compliment on the intro, and I'm like,
Nice little intro there. I appreciate that still.
I'm glad. How you doing?
Good, man. Like I was saying before, just busy as usual. Trying to get a lot of stuff done so I can have a little break. But yeah, man, I can't complain, innit? I'm doing what I love, so
yeah, doing it tenfold, doing it by the bucket load.
Yeah.
So as I was mentioning before we started recording, sort of the format of the podcast always starts off with the guests sort of chatting about what got them into performing arts or into any sort of creative industry in the first place. So do you want to sort of chat about when did young Ryan decide this is the industry for me?
Oh, I knew I wanted to tell stories from early. Like I'm talking about like 5, 6. I've always wanted to tell stories, and I always did. Like English was my that was my thing. Do you know what I mean? Being able to go in there and just write craziness and just be like, creating worlds and stuff like that. But I remember, what was it, like year 8, year 9, I got asked to do the year 11 show for acting. You know what I mean? Like the teacher was just like, yo, you got talent, you need to come and do this. And that's cool. It was difficult, and I actually chose football. And then, yeah, that was it, man. I kind of let it go. Even though the teacher was like, oh, you should pursue this, you should go Sylvia Young and that. I was like, it's just not for me kind of thing. And then it wasn't until I was, 18? That I was doing an electrical installation course. So listen to this. So year 10, I say to my careers advisor, I go, yo, I want to do drama. I want to be an actor. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And they were like, ooh, cool. Don't really do that around here, but here's a course for plumbing or electrical installation or engineering. So try these ones. And I picked electrical installation and in.
Wait a minute, they didn't have a drama course, or they
had a course, but it was like, yo, drama course is for messing about, and it's not a career thing. We don't do that. And it's proper old school working class, like, yo, get yourself a trade and you'll be okay for the rest of your life. And that was it. The dream got shut down. It was like, okay, cool. And like I've said a couple of times on other interviews, like there was no one around to kind of go, no, like you can actually do this. This is a way in. So yeah, like I was saying, I was on that engineering course, and then like midway through, I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Like I'm not happy doing it. And I left and I went back to college. I was like, by this time I was like 19, so I'm going back to college with like 16-year-olds and stuff. Like it might not seem like massive now, but if you're like 2-3 years older than them guys, it's your uncle, innit? I'm uncle in the class.
I went back to drama school. At 23, which isn't nothing. 23 is so young. Everyone else is 18. I felt like an auntie. I did.
It was literally that. But I was humbled, man. I was just like, I want to do this. Like I'm gonna give it everything. And that was it, man. I went to Croydon College for 2 years. Then went to AUB in Bournemouth for 3 years, and by the third year, I was like 22. I was the hungriest. That's the hungriest I've ever been in my life. I was like, I'm making it. No one can't tell me anything. Like I'm making it. Mm-hmm. And this is when like Facebook was like fresh. So I just hit up everybody on Facebook. I was just like, yo, can you get me in on your project? Can I get a meeting? Can I take you out to coffee? And it worked, man. It worked. Long story short, I ended up getting an audition for the Royal Court. And I was like, cool, I'm going to do everything. I want this role. There's no two ways about it. And I met Clint Dyer, I met Fraser Ayres. And them guys bigged me up, man. And I got the part in it. And I suppose the rest is history. Like, that was my way in. I got the part lead role. And from then it was like, yo, who's this kid? Like no one knew who I was. It just came out of nowhere. And got signed up by Top Agent. And that was it. I acted for 6 years straight. consecutively. A lot of great roles. I made a lot of money, but I got to a point where I just got incredibly frustrated. I was just like, I'm not the kind of person to be online going, they need to. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? If I want to do certain type of roles, if we want to extend the narrative, then who's doing that? Why can't we do it? Like, who from our community is doing that? When I say our community, I mean Black people. So I was like, cool. So it's interesting. I think a lot of the time people think I started Nouveau Riche because I wasn't working. No, I was working. Like, I was in the middle of a job when I started Nouveau Riche. Like, I was literally in the middle of a scene. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And at that time, I didn't know I was putting acting on hold. I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do roles that I could do with my eyes closed. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what type of roles was that? Like, what type did you feel you were being pigeonholed?
Yeah, it's just Black boy roles. Like, just like, do you know what I mean? Me and my friend, me and my boy Damson would say Jamal roles. Do you know what I mean? We were called, the characters are always called Jamal. They always came from ends. Do you know what I mean? It's always up to nothing. And then at the end, you realize that he's got a good heart. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't care, bro. Like, show me some nuance. So it was just like, yeah, like, why can't Jamal, like, be expanded? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's going through a tough time, but can't we get a deeper look into that, into his world, into his ambitions and stuff? Can we make him three-dimensional? So I was like, let me just start writing some stuff. And then, yeah, man, I think I realized very early how the industry kind of was and how it wasn't really looking for brand new voices in that kind of way that was going to be quite disruptive and unapologetic. And very, very soon, like, I mean, in terms of a couple of weeks, I set up Nouveau Riche with a couple of my friends. I was like, look, how about we just produce our own stuff? None of us had any education on that at all. It was just a case of going, it can't be that crazy because humans are actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like...
And were they all writers as well?
We had, who was it? Me, Joshua Campbell was an actor, Letitia Wright, actress, and my now wife, Shivani, she was Seth at the time, actress. Do you know what I mean? So all actors. None of us had any education in anything else. It was just like, yo, should we try this thing? And we did, man. We tried it. We did some readings for about 1.5 years. We did readings because we had to find our identity, what kind of stories we were interested in. And long story short, a project called Queens of Sheba came along. And
I saw that recently at Soho Theatre.
Yeah. It was banging, isn't it? I can't even lie.
It is. Do you know what? It was one of those plays that in real time, I was like, I wish that this was something. Do you know on Netflix when you're watching something, you're like, 20 seconds, watch it again. I was watching it live and I was like, I want to go back and watch that bit again. It was so good.
Yeah. It's so important, man. It's just so... We created a Black woman play, if that makes sense. And like, even looking at the style of it, you know, it's very Brechtian. It's very, we strip back everything. So the idea behind it was going, what's the most important thing that we want to see right now? And it was Black women's voices. Do you know what I mean? So we designed, like, it was designed to take away every single aspect of a show that would distract you from the bodies that are on stage. Which was massive at the time, and nobody really wanted to produce that because it was a huge risk. It's like, you're telling me Black women who are never the leads anyway, and you're gonna have 4 of them. Do you know what I mean? And you're gonna have no sound design, no this, no that. I don't really know about this, right? And it was like, cool, let's just produce it. Let's just go. And yeah, man, rest is history. We took it to Edinburgh, won the stage awards, sold out completely. And then that's when the kind of birth of the company came about. That's when people started to take us a little bit seriously and go, okay, what's next? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's how we got started, man.
No, and it's such like, it's so nice to hear as well, like how Nouveau Riche came about, because like, I don't know, I feel like some people just think to start a theatre company, you have to be trained in production. You need to have like people involved who know all aspects of it. So it's refreshing to hear that you were a bunch of actors who got together and were like, we see an issue with the industry, let's change it ourselves. And to have Queens of Sheba be like the debut show, I mean, honestly, anyone listening who has seen it will understand. Like you say, it's 4 Black women on a stage, there's no set, and they create some of the most, not only the funniest things I've ever seen, the most beautiful sounding things I've ever seen, the most heart-wrenching. I mean, there's minutes when I'm crying with laughter, and there's minutes where I'm actually genuinely sobbing.
100%.
And yeah, just fantastic. And then you go on and you've got, God, an array of just fantastic shows. It's like every single show that you guys have done has been a banger.
Bless you, man. Appreciate that.
No, it's right. It's right. And I mean,
hey, I can't say that anyway, but I'm glad you said it.
One of us has got to. One of us has got to. So with the other plays that have come about, like you say, not all of you are writers. Obviously, you're a writer yourself, but not everyone in the company is a writer. Did you then have people coming to you saying, "Look, I've written this show. Can I put it on with your company?" Or did you do call outs? Like, how did that work?
100% both, to be honest. I think for me, the first thing was going, okay, cool. So I imagine I'm an actor. So when I'm putting on my own writing, it's not me going, oh, I'm dope. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yo, this is what I can afford. That's how we started off. I can't afford to pay anybody else. So let me do this. With the first time we put on Queens of Sheba, I did every single role. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, yo, I even invested my own money to get to Edinburgh. I was like, I'm so invested in this story, and I think it's going to be amazing. I really think it's going to really like switch up theatre as we know it. But in terms of how we've progressed, yeah, we put out a call out every single year, trying to get to know. For me, like I was saying, when I was coming up, there was no one there reaching their arm out to me going, yo, come through. So that's what we try and do. We're a company that says, if you're about it, and if you're serious, and if you're passionate. And I think that's one of the main things for me when I meet young creatives, not just writers, creators in general. I want you to meet my passion. I don't care about experience, do you know what I mean? But you have to really want this, not just because you saw someone and you think, oh, that's a cool idea. No, like you have to go, I flipping want this. Do you know what I mean? And that's what inspires me, and I want to work with you. So yeah, we worked with loads of people. People in the company have come and gone. People have gone on to do massive things, and it's like a conveyor belt of talent that come in every single year. And we work with new people, working with what we gave out 3 commissions in the last 18 months. So we're working towards getting those shows on, and that's a blessing in itself to be able to in a world where the conversation on gatekeepers and power is so distinctive, and to have a company that is authentically Black, that can go, we can commission people we want to commission. We don't have to go through anybody else. Do you know what I mean? We have our own industry here. I think sometimes we miss how beautiful that actually is.
No, absolutely. And like you say, you're creating the space that wasn't there before, and you've just, companies like yourselves, and with the shows that you are showing, it just goes, they're being sold out. I mean, for Black Boys, you had to add extra dates, and then that's being sold out. You're proving that, like, look, we've been here the whole time, and you guys have missed out on decades of enjoyment and of source because you didn't want to let us in. And it's like, I don't know, we as a community are now creating our own mini part of the industry, and everyone wants a bit, and it's like, okay, see, now you get it, now you understand what was there the whole time.
There you go. I think one of the main things I've enjoyed as well is new audiences and creating new spaces. So specifically for our new show for Black Boys, we wanted to create a Black Boy space. Do you know what I mean? That felt authentically for young Black men to come in, and that's from, I don't know if you've been yet. Have you seen Black Boys yet?
No, next Wednesday.
Cool, bless you. So I won't give no spoilers, but from the moment you turn up to New Diorama, there's this massive mural of 6 Black boys from the door. Do you know what I mean? And you come in, and there's a Smiling Boys project. So you see all of these incredible young Black men across the walls. Do you know what I mean? It's a whole entire art exhibition in there. And then the music, when you come in, it's unlike any other theatre experience. Do you know what I mean? It was like, if we could bring the theatre to ends, what would it be? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a distinct audience that my plays are made for. Doesn't mean anybody else can't come to it, but it is made, bro. The title is called for Black Boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not messing about. Like, do you know what I mean? If you're coming, I don't care what walk of life you're coming from. Where you going tonight? I'm going to see 4 Black boys. Acknowledge that. Do you know what I mean? I don't care to make work that is palatable to everybody. This work is very specific. It's for Black boys or anybody that loves Black boys. Do you know what I mean? Or wants to get to know Black boys. And if you're not about that, then it's not for you.
And how do you feel like, obviously, theatre in general has just always been a place predominantly for like middle-class white people, and that's obviously been a massive problem, and that's why a lot of our stories and a lot of people from the diaspora haven't been put in these roles that we want to be put in. We've been put in those stereotypical roles for so long because it's all been made palatable for the audiences that are coming in. How do you think, because I feel like your company is one of the few that have successfully done this, how do you think you've managed to cross that bridge and get in the people who you're making it for to come and see the theatre? Because I feel like that is a problem, not a problem, an issue within itself, is getting the people from ends to come and see the theatre that has been made for them, because it's just never been a place that has felt like it's for them.
I think personally, I think the biggest thing is knowing who your audience is. And I think what people try and do, a lot of artists, they go, okay, cool. Well, if it's going to be for working class Black people, then that's cool. But also, I can't neglect my middle class white audiences, because that's the majority of theatre goers. So what happens is that you have a piece that is incredibly diluted. Do you know what I mean? You're saying this for one particular demographic, but at the same time, you're going, but I can't, if I don't make it for white, get it on. Do you know what I mean? And I think, again, having my own company has made me go, I don't have to answer to anybody sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, we make it via our company, and then you guys can come on. Do you know what I mean? And then also knowing what my audience like. Do you know what I mean? The majority of Nouveau Riche's consumers are age 18 to 35. So what kind of music are they into? Who are their influences? Do you know what I mean? I'm going, if I'm going to make a show for you, then I have to understand who you are. I'm not just going and putting Black into a box. No, specifically, who is this for? Black who? Black Nigerians? West Indians? Is it people that were born here in the 90s? Who is this show for? Secondly, make sure the show is fucking good. Make sure it's good. I think sometimes when we say Black, we go, oh, Black, the bar is so low. Do you know what I mean? Like, where I was growing up, just seeing Black people on stage was enough. I don't even care what the show's about. I just want to see Black people on stage. I just want to hear someone say something and I go, that sounds, do you know what I mean? Okay, cool, but we're past that now. Can we make a show that is good?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because when the show is banging, you get people from all over the world that want to come and see it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And instead of going, oh, that's a Black show for Black people, no, it's a good show for people that like good shows. That's what we want to make. That's the level of the work that my company has to be at. And if it's not there, then we're not interested. Do you know what I mean? It's not lowering the bar.
What's the criteria? If someone's written a play, and they want to bring it to you guys and they want you guys to put it on, what's the criteria? What ticks the boxes for you?
Firstly, I want to be able to hear a new voice. I want to hear a voice that is so unique and bold, and that needs to be told. It's desperate to be told. Do you know what I mean? And I want to hear a story that's desperate to be told. If it's not, then it doesn't need to be told. Do you know what I mean? I want to hear something. When we got Queens of Sheba, it was like, this is so on the money. It was almost before time. Do you know what I mean? If you think about Queens of Sheba came out, and then the Me Too movement came out 6 months after that. Do you know what I mean? Typical came out, and then George Floyd happened, what was it, 9 months after that? Stuff that is so, it's not even topical yet. It's things that are brewing. And you come out and you're like, yo, I want to talk about this. And I've made a bold move to talk about it. And I want to talk about it in this incredible way where it doesn't even need to be traditional, westernized, 5-act structure or whatever. It just needs to be a story that can resonate with an audience. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. When I see something like that, I'm like, let's do something. Do you know, I don't even know.
It's an energy, it's a vibe.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yo, let me get my people, you talk to your people, let's do something. Do you know what I mean?
Let's talk about Typical for a minute, because you just mentioned it. Like I said in the intro, I saw it was when I was up at the Fringe in 2019.
Nice.
Yeah. But what a piece. And I'd love to just pick your brain and just see like why was it that specific story that you wanted to, first of all, tell the audience what the story is about. Then tell me why it was that story that you wanted to do it, and also why did you want to tell it in the way that you did? Because it was like pure poetry. It was all like, it wasn't standard dialogue or monologue, one person show form, was it?
Yeah, bless you, man. So Typical is the story, essentially it's the story of the final day of Christopher Older, who died in 1998. He was an ex-paratrooper who literally just went on a night out. Do you know what I mean? He went on a night out and he ended up dead, you know? And it's a story that resonated with me personally because, you know, I was alive. I was a young man when he died. And that shaped a lot of my mother's parenting. you know, seeing a man that did nothing other than go on a night out end up in prison and dead. And she's raising a young black boy. And I think 2 days before that, I had come home with the police, you know, and she was like, I can't afford that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't bring this guy in this world for him to go out like that. And she felt helpless. So I ended up going to the French Caribbean. I went Martinique for about, how long did we go for? I think we went for 12 months. We were meant to go out there to live. But that was my mum's answer to how she could save my life. So the story of Christopher Older obviously had a massive, massive part of my life. And then, you know, almost 20 years later, and I see an interview with his sister, and they're still fighting for justice. And I'm going, come on, man, this has been 20 years and still nothing. And I'm going, what can I do? I'm not an activist in that way. Do you know what I mean? But I have a voice. Do you know what I mean? I have a voice. I'm an artist. What can I do with this subject matter? And then I looked at it again, you know, with hindsight and with 20 years of perspective, and gone, how does this story now relate to me as a man, and as a man who has black sons? And yeah, it was very triggering. And again, that whole point of, you don't have to be going out looking for trouble. You don't have to be at a march. You don't have to be this or that. You could just be walking on a night out and you're still a target to these people. You know, what does it really mean to be a man first? And then what does it also mean to be a black man? Do you know what I mean? And as a black man, is there any time or any space where you can just be a man? You know, and I kind of explore that in two aspects in that play. The first act, when he's just on his own, has an incredible light tone to it, because he's free. Essentially, what I'm saying in that first act of the play is that he is free to be who he wants to be. Then the moment, instantly, that he leaves that house and we put this curse on him, which is the color black, and then we see one after the other, whether it be a nurse, whether it be a white lady in a club, whether it be these white guys, whether it be the police, the hospital, anybody, there's incredible bias. Do you know what I mean? Because of the color of your skin and nothing else. And that's what I really wanted to explore. And I felt like this was the incredible premise for me to do two things at once. And then you mentioned about the style of it. Again, like I was saying with Nouveau Riche, for me, I want to play, I want to create style, I want my last piece to be better than my last piece. I want to be able to do things that we've not been able to do, or I have not been able to do before. And I want my audience to be educated, but I also want them to be entertained. Do you know what I mean? You can get some really good pieces of theatre, people come out and they go, whoa, but it wasn't entertaining. Do you know what I mean? They fell asleep. Do you know what I mean? It was dark in there. They just had a long day at work. And I was like, no, I want you lot to get the message, and I want you to be up and awake for the whole entire thing. Yeah. And I want you to feel like this is art. I'm an artist. Do you know what I mean? And the whole entire piece is in verse, various different types of verse. For me, it was blues music. Do you know what I mean? It was a coping mechanism that my people have been able to go through for the last 100 years when we get into tough situations, and I wanted to make that theatrical. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Never written spoken word in my life, but I was like, come on, man, let me push myself. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
I love that you're just casually like, yeah, I've never done it before in my life, and like making like this it went on to like being recorded like this. So
no, but it wasn't that casual. Like it was like this. It took time. It took time. It took drafts. It was pushing. Going, nah, you can do something.
But no. So was that your second or like show that went up to the Fringe, or?
Yes.
Yeah. And how is it just those two that have been up to the Fringe?
Yeah. So we went. Queens was in 18. Yeah. And then Typical was 19.
19, and then obviously let's not talk about the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because the reason I bring up is obviously this is a podcast who mainly have a young audience who are coming up and emerging. So I sort of wanted to ask you about your steps in getting a show to the Fringe, because I know there's so many people out there who have written shows who want to get them seen, especially at somewhere like the Fringe, but like you never really taught how to get from A to B. And I know you said with Queens of Sheba that was mainly out of your own pocket, and obviously a lot of hard work. So I'd love to just sort of hear for both of those shows, what was the process of getting them up there?
Yeah, cool. So for me, Queens of Sheba, we won the Underbelly Untapped Award. so that gave us a certain amount of money. It's still nowhere near enough to take a show up to Edinburgh, especially with a cast of 4. So that gave us some money. And then what we did is we let people see it. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, instead of just doing a normal kind of fundraiser, I was like, no. People need to see what we're working with here. Do you know what I mean? This is levels. So we invited people and we said, no one not pay a single thing. Don't pay anything to come and watch this show. Just come for free. And if it's banging, then you pay what you think that you need to pay. Do you know what I mean? So people came in and were like, yeah, free show. At the end of it, £30, hey, £100. I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo.
Like you're at a wedding.
Do you know what I mean? And then we did a little raffle and people were like, and I remember one lady who was just like, how much did you guys need? And we're like, auntie, we need about £3,000. She was like, well, I'm going to start off with 200. And then the next guy was just like, 250. It was like an auction. It was just
my gosh.
We sold out all the books, everything. But that was my kind of, do you know what I mean? Instead of just saying to someone, oh, please give us some money, we're poor Black kids. It was like, yo, let me invite you to a show. And if you want to invest in us, then come and invest in us. And that helped us get up there. We had a lot of guidance from New Diorama, a lot of guidance from Underbelly, because the Fringe is a beast. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different things, so many different licenses. I think they're making it more accessible now, because really and truly, I don't understand. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand how you go there and come back the same as a human being. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's incredibly stressful. Just to
it's extremely full on. Like, I went with the National Youth Theatre. I was in a National Youth Theatre production, so they sorted all of that side of it out. I just had to turn up for 1 hour every day at the Underbelly performing and leave. And even that was like so tiring on me, especially with the flyering and stuff. So to think about like doing it all from scratch and doing all of that stuff behind the scenes, like, it's exhausting to think about.
It is a lot, man. That's another thing I would say to people is keep hydrated, keep fed. And you know, one of the biggest things for us, especially in the first year, was going up with supporters, man. So other companies that were doing shows as well, and being able to fly out at the end of their shows, and do you know what I mean, and get their audiences and give you our audiences, and have people online. I think, you know, flyering is amazing, but social media has come in the last, 5-6 years, and it's huge. Word of mouth. Queens of Sheba, when we took Queens of Sheba up, we didn't have no money for any flyers or any posters. There were no posters of Queens of Sheba in the whole of Edinburgh. There was no flyering in the whole of Edinburgh. Word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. Social media, it was going crazy. We were looking at the algorithms and we were like #1 talked about show, and that's just from social media. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So again, from second year, we were like, okay, let's put all of our energies in that. Not saying that flyering and stuff isn't good, but you know, when you're scrolling through, if you see the same show come up about 5 times, you're buying a ticket instantly.
And also, let's talk about how amazing that is in general, that you were up there at #1 as a all-Black company and an all-Black show. Like, the biggest shock of my life being at Edinburgh Fringe was how very few non-white companies or non-white casts there were. Like, I was like, I'm going to the UK's biggest theatre festival. This is going to be lit. There was a bar called Barbados. I was like, let's go there. I remember. Turn up. There's like no other Black people. I was like, what is happening? And then obviously you've got lovely like, what are they called, like schemes like Fringe, Black Fringe of Colour. And like, you know, there was a that like me and the other non-white members of the cast were like added to, and they like we had our own nights and stuff, which was lovely. It's nice to find like our own community within, like you say, this beast of a theatre festival. But like, I don't know what we need to, well, it's not on us, but like, I don't know what the industry needs to do to like diversify that. It just doesn't make sense. It's tens of thousands of people coming to watch theatre, and still such a small percentage of it is non-white, and that just baffles me, because there's so many fantastic non-white stories that still need to be told. But I guess it goes back to this whole thing of licensing, funding, like getting the support to get up there. Like, if you're a working class Black person, you're going to have less of a chance to get your show up there than a middle class white person whose parents might be able to help them, or, you know, are going to get more grants because of this, that, or the third.
100%. Yeah, it's just ironic that it's a Fringe festival, because it's not really for people. It's not really for Fringe people. Yeah, I mean, majority, like you say, the people that go there are people that have money. Do you know what I mean? People that, you know, their parents are on the West End stage or something like that. they can put a little shoddy show out or whatever. But yeah, there just needs to be more access. There needs to be more conversations. Again, it is money, but it's also knowing your way around things. Do you know what I mean? It's knowing what venue is the right one to go to, what partnerships are the right partnership to have, who to trust. There's so much of that in there, and there just needs to be more space for those kind of conversations and that level of support.
Yeah,
for those that need it.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Fringe will get it right, man.
Speaking of access, talk to me about Studio Novi.
Sick. Nouveau, yeah, you were right first time. Yeah, I grew up kind of, not obsessed, but I grew up inspired by the Harlem Renaissance, right? And in a time of the Great Depression, in a time where working class, especially people of color, had nowhere to perform, nowhere to create work. Places like the Cotton Club became these hotbeds, these sanctuaries of talent. And we have some of the greatest artists of the 20th century that came out of this movement. And for me, it was like, we've just come through a pandemic. How do we make this industry better? New Diorama had this scheme at Broadgate. I spoke to the artistic director there, David, and I said, I really want this space for global majority and Black artists to be safe, to really feel that they're safe, and to be able to unite with one another and create the best work. And and we basically spoke, and we've got this place for free for 12 months, a free studio space. Comes with a kitchen. That's where I'm at now, man. I'm in one of the interview rooms, man, writers' rooms. We've got all of this, a whole entire complex for people to be able to come. And for me, I described it as an African utopia. Do you know what I mean? Where I honestly hope that you come and you go, hi, I'm an actress, and someone goes, oh, sick, I'm looking for an actress. And do you know what I mean? And it's just some of the best work for the next couple of years just comes out of this space. But essentially what it was me overhearing a lot of conversations where I was hearing so many young Black artists go, I just didn't feel safe in that space. Or I didn't feel like I could be myself or speak the way I wanted to. And I was like, what? Obviously, I have a Black-owned company, so I don't feel that way there. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, a lot of the time I'm away from those conversations. But when I'm back, I'm like, what can we do? And the conversation was always around how do we create our own spaces, and then eventually how do we create our own venues? When do we ever get to be in a position where we're not having to beg for anything? That's the bigger conversation. But for now, come and use this space, come and create exciting work, and give me a 3% commission when you do, innit? I'm trying to eat.
I love that.
No, seriously. Come and use it, man. Come and use it.
Good. Before we wrap it up, obviously you run the theatre company, which is absolutely smashing it. You said you've had your career, just 6 years of acting. You've done writing. We spoke about your writing for your theatre, but also let's talk about the stuff that's going on with telly.
Sick. Oh man.
Don't be getting shy now.
Hey, listen. What am I doing now? So I think about 18 months now since the pandemic, I started doing TV. Obviously, theatre, I didn't know where that was going to go, but I always had ambition to do TV. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm doing some big projects now with some really cool UK companies and some really massive American studios.
Is it an NDA thing? Yeah.
Do you know? I don't even know. I just
don't do it just in case. Don't do it just in case.
You know what? I don't even know everyone out there's for me like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know. I don't even know. People are like, swear down, yeah? America, yeah? I don't know, innit? But yeah, I'm doing some life-changing stuff, man. I've been so blessed working with, like, do you know when you're just like, yo, I know where I come from. Do you know what I mean? To be in a room with people that I've worked on some of the best shows ever made, and just to be like, yo, I'm holding my own here. Do you know what I mean? And having to continually tell myself that, right, you're here on merit. You're here on merit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm in the room and I'm like, yo, guys, just do this, just do that. And I feel confident. Do you know what I mean? That's when I'm in writers' rooms. I'm writing scripts now on big American shows. Amazing. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm doing.
What's the space like? What's the energy? You said you have to remind yourself and, get rid of that imposter syndrome. I know that comes regardless. That's always there as a creative, but like, is it also a matter of having to tell yourself that because you're working with, you know, there's been times you've gone into a room and you felt like you've been made to feel like you're not supposed to be there? Or
You know what?
you hear horror stories, right?
Yeah, I do. And I know that they exist. But that's not my story. And I think that's not to say that everybody in that room or is necessarily for me in that kind of way. But I have a level of confidence and boldness. Do you know what I mean? And that's come from working 5 years at Nouveau Riche, where I know that I can do A, B, and C because I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Like being an artistic director, you get mucky in every single thing. So when I come into one of these rooms, I know I can do it. It's just convincing myself that, and then after, I don't have to second guess myself. I can suggest this or say, yeah, I want to write that piece or whatever. So, and I think what it is that confidence can become contagious, and I think people go, yeah, I think this brother can do that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I haven't had any horror stories. I'm being honest. But the thing is that I'm the kind of person that if I did, I would just leave.
Yeah,
I would really, and that, again, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have my own company, because I don't have to put up with anybody else's BS. Do you know what I mean? If I don't like what we're doing here, then I go back to doing my thing because I love that anyway, and I love the people that are. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a big thing to get me from working away from Nouveau Riche. You know, I come in every day and I'm like, yo, you man, what you want to take over today? What madness you want to do today? Do you know what I mean? This is our thing. You know, so to get me away from doing that, it's not about money. Like that don't make me happy. You know what I mean? Like I want to be in an environment where we do dope shit. Oh, can I swear? No.
yeah,
When we do, okay, cool. No, young people, innit? Where we do good stuff. where we do good stuff every day. So yeah, I have to be happy, man. That's. Do you know what I mean? That for me, that's everything. That's everything.
What's I mean, like, what is the point if you're not enjoying it? Then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Especially in this industry, like it takes so much of you. Like I think people who are outside of the industry just do not appreciate how much goes into it, and like so much stuff you have to put into it before you even start reaping rewards back from it. You know, like producing and stuff. Like eventually you get paid when the invoice gets paid, but like you spend so many hours working up to getting the funding, to get to that bit that, like, you know, it's tiring, and you spend days and nights, like you don't go to bed until God knows when in the morning.
I took my first paycheck from Nouveau Riche, I think it was last year, and the only reason I took one was because pandemic was mad. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, cool. What I usually would do is literally just put any money I make just back into it. I don't, do you know what I mean? Make sure that someone else gets paid or this or that. And like you're saying, man, yeah, there's certain days where I wouldn't sleep. Like genuinely just would not sleep. Do you know what I mean? Again, you have to put in so much to get anything back, especially in theatre, where the money is scarce anyway. Fringe, we're talking about Fringe here, not commercial. So yeah, I agree with you, man. It's a madness.
Yes.
But it should be worth it.
Before we shoot, please give your top tips. It could be 1, it could be 5, however many top tips you have for the audience listening who might want to get into any of the all the categories that you have covered in your career of just getting into this industry basically, but mainly I think focusing on starting up a company or making new work that is breaking the industry and turning it into something that's more for everybody.
Cool. I would say the first thing, a lot of people don't want to hear that, but the first thing I would say is start to become a master of your craft. I think we live in a generation now where everything's insta, where people don't go, actually, I want to sit down and be good at what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? When I decided that I was going to write, so when I put down the acting for a bit and I decided I wanted to write, I read over 100 plays back to back. I would read one play a day and then I would annotate it the other day. It took me a year. Do you know what I mean? That's before I even considered myself being a playwright. I was like, yo, people do this for a living. I need to be one of them, man. But in order for me to be able to match that, I have to be able to educate myself. I haven't got an MA in screenwriting or playwriting. I haven't been to this school. I didn't go Eton or any of these kind of places. So I have to be in a position where I can come out of this and go, I'm confident now. So no one can really chat to me because I know what a good play looks and feels and sounds like. I know dialogue. I know how to set scenes up. I ain't been to no school. Do you know what I mean? So I made sure that I was a boss in my craft. You know, I think a lot of people are scared of that nowadays. You just want it because my man's got it or she's got it and you know her. Do you know what I mean? No, You want to be good at this. And then after that, your concentration should be making good work. Do you know what I mean? Not just getting stuff out there just for the sake of it. Making good work. Do you know what I mean? And then what else would I advise? Getting it read, getting your work out there. What I would advise for writers is get that first draft done. Oh my goodness, get that first draft finished. Don't be talking to your mum about, can you read page 1 and 2? No, do the whole thing. Let her read the whole script first. Well, I think what writers don't understand is let that first draft be messy. Do you know what I mean? It's all of your ideas and all of your heart out onto a page. That is the most authentic version of you and your craft that you would ever get in the first draft. Do you know what I mean? This is before you cut away anything or try to make it this or that. You've just gone, this is everything that's on my mind, that's in my spirit right now on a page. It's wonderful. I don't care how messy it is. I don't care if you've got 25 acts. I don't care if you've just got one guy just talking for 3 scenes. Do you know what I mean? It is authentic. This is you developing your own style right now. Do you know what I mean? Get that first draft done. As a producer, produce that first show. I don't care if it's an event. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-day show, 2-day show. Produce something so that what we're doing in this is we're building confidence. Do you know what I mean? You produce that event, you went, I did that, you know. You see people laughing, clapping, people selling out, you go, I did that now. Now, whatever big boss stuff am I going to do next? Do you know what I mean? Start to build that confidence. What we do in our generation, again, is we seek validation from people who often hate us. Do you know what I mean? Don't allow anybody to control you like that. Do you know what I mean? Get that validation from yourself. I know I'm sick at doing events. Why? Because I just sold that flipping show out. I don't need you, man, to tell me that I'm dope. I know I'm dope, man. Do you know what I mean? When you start to live like that, just every day, just going, yo, I can do stuff. And then start seeing where your imagination is going to take you. It's wild. I'm going to leave it like that because we'll be here all night. But,
no, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. And for you, the audience, if you or anybody else that you know would like to hear this story, are hard of hearing, or you would just like to see our beautiful faces, you can head over to the National Youth Theatre YouTube channel, where you can find a video version of this podcast that is closed captioned. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan.
nice one, man. All right, have a good evening.